Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Senor Nerd Podcast. I have here with me Ramon,
Hey guys.
Ro,
Howdy, howdy.
and we're here to talk today about the newest episode of Demon Slayer, episode 9. And boy, do we have stuff to talk about. I can already tell just based on the text message conversations between each other that it's going to be a little bit, maybe we might a little bit bump heads with one another. But I'm just going to go ahead and say it, man. I'm just going to go ahead and say, like, if it wasn't for the last 6 minutes of this episode, I was getting ready to throw my fucking controller at the TV and be
What?
like, dude, I was so frustrated with the idea that they were doing a lot of the same things from the last episode. You know, Muichiro was having like flashbacks again, and then Gyoko, fucking disappointment, man. Like, I want to forget Gyoko ever freaking existed, but we'll get into it.
Hell yeah.
Guys, Ramon, Ro, not sure which one of you wants to go first. Come at me. Tell me why this is like a great episode, and I'm just totally missing the point of it.
No, I mean, absolutely. It was one of those things where I think I was the one that texted us like, "Holy crap balls! Like this episode is great." And I think what it was is that we just absolutely went from like a heartbreaking flashback story about Muichiro, right? We got kind of live a little bit through his life. We know where he comes from and all this good stuff. But we were missing that action, right? And then again, I hate to be that guy, but at some point, when you have an anime about slaying demons, like let's see some action, right? So it was kind of good for that one, man. We really got to see Muichiro like really step up. I think, again, I was still having doubts about like if he knows about his like little mark that he has. And it seems like, in this episode, you see a little bit of that. You see the experience with that. You finally see Gyoko do something else and just fucking talk, even though he does spend still the majority of the time talking and insulting back and forth. And it was entertaining. It was funny. And then obviously the second half with Tanjiro coming back and all that good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was good overall. I mean, I'm not gonna say otherwise. I'm not gonna change my mind.
Yeah, I also I like that a lot too. I love the kind of change of pace where it was kind of humorous, and they did have those like funny moments, like when Gyoko told Takedo to like shut his mouth, and then he did something, and then he's like, are you just gonna stand there and say nothing? I'm like, well, you told me to shut my mouth. But the way that they did it was just funny. But like stuff like that. So I don't know. I was a fan of the kind of back and forth that they had, and the insults and
Yeah.
kind of what Takedo was doing. It ends up being too much for
Yeah.
Carlos.
Yeah, no, I mean, some of these scenes just did not pay off for me, and I was just ready for Muichiro to like decapitate Gyoko. And I kind of mentioned to you guys like his final form did nothing for me. I like from somebody that just saw the Little Mermaid. I'm like, that's such a disappointment. Like, where's Ariel's dad? Like, bring him in because he could probably do a way better job than what this dude's
Oh,
trying
I'm
to
sure
do.
you could. I'm
Ursula
sure you
or
could.
Ursula.
Oh, dude, yes. So I think this is great. Well, first of all, we started the episode with freaking the swordsmith still working hard at that
Dude,
freaking
I
Tanjiro sword,
know.
right?
How long is
So
it gonna take him?
I don't know. I don't know. I
Well,
think it
well, they
was
s- well they said it was four. It takes 4 days and 4 nights to like complete the
and
process. So he's even doing it even faster. So he should be done like in 12 hours for a process that should have taken like 4 days.
I did, and that was like the first thing when the episode started. I'm like, there you go, let's go, keep it going, because like I feel like I'm rooting all the way, right? I think by the end of the arc, maybe we'll see that sword finally be put together. I'm getting really excited for that sword, man. So it's like the best part of the
Oh,
episode for me is just the fact that I'm waiting to see that freaking sword.
well, you know what? It's gonna be the hilt for Tanjiro's sword, but that
Yeah,
had
that
nothing
was.
to. But nothing
Oh
had
yeah.
that had nothing to do with Muichiro and having this flashback with Rengoku. And again, man, if you're gonna show me Rengoku, it better be for a fucking good reason, because he's the man's dead. Let him fucking rest.
But
It's because that was obviously Rengoku. It came from Rengoku's sword,
Yeah.
and then he recognized it like, oh, Tanjiro has this connection with Rengoku, and then he's like,
I have that
oh, I
connection
recognize
too.
that. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
recognize that. Like he was my buddy. He was my
Well,
home dog.
well,
He was
dude,
my
Rengoku was everybody's big brother. He was my big brother, so he was everybody's big brother.
Yeah, no, no, but I think that's
Tasty,
I guess since we're there,
tasty.
I mean that's what it is. It's like that scene was kind of really surprising, right? Because everybody's been telling me that freaking kid's dead, that kid's dead. I'm like, you kid murderers. Like, no, he's not. Yeah, like, leave him alone. And it was great, right, to see him back, and it was a funny moment. He's like, oh my god, you're still alive, and he's like, yeah, I mean, if anything, I took a heavier wound on the arm, which I might still die from. He's like, but actually, what saved me was like this hilt that Tanjiro wants on his sword, and you see it, and like Raul said, it was definitely meant to be a very emotional moment because I think again, what how old is Muichiro? He's like 14, 15, like 16, like anywhere between there, right? So I think he's still remembering that there is more attachment to these people like Tanjiro than he thinks, right? Like, so far he's been playing his brother's role in his head, right? Like, since we met Muichiro, he acts like his brother. Negative, doesn't believe in anyone but himself, like he thinks he can do it all alone. And I think everything's just breaking him down. And I think seeing Rengoku was like a nice little thing because it makes you feel like, yeah, okay, he had a thing with him too, right? He's human. And then, of course, Carlos, they want to mess with you. They want to say, cry a little, Carlos, cry a little, because Rengoku is dead and he's not coming back.
No.
Yeah, and yeah, I totally agree with that. I think what they're trying to do is that they're trying to grow the relationship between Takedo or Muchiro and Tanjiro. Even though they're like in completely different places, but just like the small interactions that Tanjiro has had with them is like kind of having a bigger impact, and then all these other things are kind of influencing Muchiro to the point where like he's kind of growing a bigger attachment to Tanjiro, like with remembering like small things that he said, or like the eyes with his dad, and then like right now in this episode with the hilt.
Yeah,
So
I mean, with Muichiro, this episode, like I just felt like the battle scenes weren't really that interesting. When you go from like the last episode where you get this really cool move that he does, and again, I was just like,
mhm.
oh, that's really exciting. If there's ever a video game, like I'm like, I would love to play that as him to do those kind of moves. But in this episode, like some of the moves that he was doing, they weren't very impressive to me. Even the fact that they were supposed to be like, oh my god, he was able to slash all these fishes with just these couple of moves, and I'm like, dude, like really, like I just watched this in slow motion, and I still don't even know how he did that. So it's just like some of the things I felt like the budget kind of was dropped on this. Maybe the budget was put more towards the last 6 minutes than the whole 15 minutes of this episode. But it was a little bit disappointing, man. And then Tokito Muichiro, I'm not sure how I feel about his new personality because now he's being sort of this jokester that you mentioned. Now he's freaking smiling, and dude, and I don't know if maybe he hasn't smiled for the last 5 years, so he's a little rusty, man. Because that smile was fucking creepy as hell. I can't approve that. Like, you guys need to go and redo that smile. Somebody needs to teach that kid how to smile all over again. And then I haven't felt this awkward since I saw Tom Holland in the first Spider-Man, dude. But when they show his abs, I'm like, I don't want to be seeing this like 16, 15-year-old boy like with massive freaking crazy like busting out like abs. I'm like, it's kind of gave me the same feels that I got when I saw Tom Holland without his shirt in the first Spider-Man. I'm like, why? Like, I don't know how to feel about this scene.
Which were good. No, I'm questioning.
No.
No, but it's funny that you mentioned his little smirk, right? Because I was thinking of Momo, that weird like horror, so like internet meme
Wow.
of that scary, right? Like but what was funny is like what he was saying during that moment was hilarious because like I think I even wrote it down because it was so good. He's like, oh, attacks like, or what does it matter if attacks are so amazing? Oh yeah, even the most jaw dropping attack is nothing when it's not effective or when you can't pull it off.
Yeah. When it doesn't land, pretty much.
When it doesn't land, yeah. And it was just hilarious. I think it was perfect. Yes, creepy as heck, but I think it was very hilarious because he had a reason for that grin, and it was hilarious. He was making like his best joke, and we were mentioning about it earlier, right? I think it was a pretty funny. I don't know if it was like I said, maybe it did kind of kill or kind of downplay the whole battle, Carlos. Maybe that's why you weren't as impressed because the majority of the battle was just them insulting each other, like back and forth, right? Like Gyoko and Muichiro were just back and forth, like insulting each other, making jokes at each other.
It became an episode of like Yo Mama.
It was funny because I was totally thinking that. I'm like, I'm sure we'll mention about it later because I think it started like, one of them calls themselves creepy. Then all of a sudden someone's a dung beetle. And then Muichiro is like, no, like you live in dung. And then it goes like, oh, you have short limbs. And then he's like, wait, you have shorter limbs than I do. Like, what's up, bro? It just goes back and forth, and I think yeah, but I think yeah, you're right. Like that did downplay a little bit of the seriousness of the fight. And I think yes, by the time he was doing some amazing things, like when Gyoko did release his like 10,000 fish, assassin fish, right? And you know, Muichiro did all that. It just really wasn't as impressive. But the one thing I did want to ask you guys, we had a physical mist, right? That wasn't my imagination. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gyoko was seeing the
Well,
mist, and I know we've been talking about that every episode. I think,
this is the thing that I think I caught. If you look at Muichiro, when he gets angry or he starts thinking about these feelings that really made him upset, he has steam coming out of his body. So I think it's just the fact that he's like purposely making himself angry by thinking about this one moment in his life, which makes him truly, truly mad, which is when his brother passes. So I think that's where this miss came from, that he's purposely making himself so angry. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the flame mark that he got,
yeah,
but I believe that's where the mist came from, Roman. Because I also caught that the second time that I watched it. I'm like, I think it's his body is so angry that he's coming, like mist is legitly coming out of his body, and I think that's where it's like it comes from.
that was going to be my ultimate question for you guys, and especially you, Carlos, because like I said, I mean, and if you got any glimpses of this, like reading the manga at any point, but it's just it seems like right, we always talked about that in the past, how like they're like I guess elemental like attacks aren't really like physical, like right, no one's really getting wet, no one's getting caught on fire or anything like this, but at this time for real, like you know. Gyoko was seeing the mist. He was really confused. He was really thrown off. And my only thought was that, right? Like his mark, his little flame mark. And I'm like, oh, maybe I wonder if everyone can do that. Like every Hashira, when they get their like special marks, like going, can they
Yeah.
do that? So with Tanjiro, like we've seen him do some crazy stuff during that moment, but I think we never thought about it because we never
I,
had that interaction.
I don't know if it was the scene where he was like training in the rain and they're like, stop training, you're still kind of healing. I feel like that's when the steam was coming out of his body. I could be wrong. I had to go back and rewatch exactly where that happens, but
Hmm.
I feel like there was a reason to even explain that. But no, it is cool, man. Trust me, man. I'm there. I'm like, anytime
Yeah.
that somebody can be like, oh, did you see that lightning? Like, where did that lightning come from? Like, I'm like here to like either try to debunk it or just say, like, oh my God, we got a confirmation that these elements are real.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
even he didn't know where it came from either. I mean, like the just his power in general.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think with this episode, like I will say that there's two issues. One I think is just the mist breathing because it's hard to make mist attacks look cool. Um,
Mm,
because like in the past we've seen fire, water, we've seen like lightning, we've seen like all these like really cool ways to like artistically show these attacks. But with mist, it's hard to make that kind of look cool. Like the coolest was probably when he did the seventh breathing form or whatever, where
well,
where he was kind of hard to find or whatever.
well,
So I think that's kind of one issue that makes Tokito look less impressive. But
Well,
then the
you've clearly never met a ninja from the Mist Village, because dude, I think Mist can be portrayed really cool.
no, no, yeah, no, no, yeah, but they didn't do it. I don't think that they did it well. Well, at least in the style that Demon Slayer has been doing their attacks. And then I think the other big issue that I actually do have an issue with is that like the fight between Tokido and this demon, like it became too lopsided too quickly, where it just seemed like Tokido had like no issue beating him. Like he's supposed to be the upper fifth, like he supposedly stronger than the sixth, and Tokido is just like, yes, he's a Hashira, but like
Yeah,
Rengoku like got murdered, like he got destroyed
yeah,
by the third, and he's with two away, and then the sound, Hashira got like he was losing. He needed like the other three, and Nezuko in order to kill the upper six.
yeah.
So how's the fifth like this easy for just one Hashira by himself
Yeah, I mean,
to
I did
kill?
like how Muichiro had this confidence in the beginning, and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, dude, this guy is like super confident of himself right now, and I did like that a lot. And
Hmm.
man, I get it, I get what you're saying, Raul, but it just tells you what a shitty ass Upper Moon Gyoko is, and that's why I keep saying that the sixth one should have been like placed either to be like a third or second, because dude,
Yes.
the sixth one would have fucking had all these guys killed. The sixth one had this
Oh
power
yeah.
where he could do that atomic bomb shit with his body, his weapons, with his blood art. That was
Yeah.
super cool. Like this guy's just like, I think, in my opinion, had he been fighting in, like, let's say, a lake, a water, an ocean, like, that's maybe like where Gyoko could have truly
On a
been like a
boat.
really, like, or on a boat. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I'm on a
Well,
boat.
well, the Hashiras would have been on a boat. I don't think he needed to be on a boat, but yeah, like, I think that would have made him a lot stronger and a lot of more of somebody that they would have really struggled with. But I think just
Hmm.
the fact that they're just fighting like an open plain, it's like that's the reason why he was able to be defeated so easy, because he did have cool abilities, but again, just the idea that Muichiro is so powerful and he was able to just like be able to kill him by being so cocky, so confident, building this anger. I wanted to say, I just saw the scene right now, the one where I told you guys where he's like training so hard in the rain, and mist did come out of his back. So I think that's where the mist came from. Just the idea that he can push himself so hard that his body all of a sudden will start misting out. So that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's cool,
Yeah.
and but that's what I'm saying. Like, even just Muichiro compared to Gyoko, like, this seems so much cooler. Yes, again, a little unimpressive with the fight and everything, but I think, again, just to kind of keep on crapping on Gyoko, like, again, for just the cool things that he did in the beginning were just like his actual art, right? Like, okay, I guess he can
Hmm.
make cool things, right? He made that freaking composition of dead bodies and swords, and like, it was cool, but dude, that's everything he does. That and throw out fish, right? I think it was hilarious when he finally like shed his skin, right? Like when he like Muichiro did an attack, he shed his skin and he kind of makes a joke
Hmm.
out of that too. And then you see him in his like super like enhanced form. And then for a moment there, I'm like, yes, like finally, like this guy is not goofy looking. This guy's about to do some crazy stuff. And I think he even said, "Ooh, my scales are like tougher than like diamonds and stuff like that," right? So he was setting up for like an amazing fight.
Hmm.
But like you guys said, freaking Muichiro, like nothing
Well, like,
done.
even his like final form was not impressive at all. If that was truly his final form, he needed another final form. And dude, I kind of got excited when he shed it, like he shed his like body, like his skin, because for a moment, I don't know why I thought about Orochimaru, and I'm like, hell, fucking yes, like this guy's about to be like Orochimaru. But I'm like, wait, he's not a snake, he's a freaking sea person. So then again, disappointing with that whole.
Merman.
He's a merman. Disappointing with the whole merman.
Oh, well, apparently he's
See,
a sea snake.
yeah,
He's a sea snake.
or he should have been like a kraken or something.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like a seam snake, but because he still like molted his like skin, right? So that's something that snakes typically
Hmm.
do. And then
Yeah,
if you really look at his bottom half, it was always like a snake. But you know, the fact that he is so aquatic in attack nature, you're just
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, maybe sea snake. Like I don't
I mean,
know.
eel.
I mean, you knew the moment he didn't have legs, like this guy's not gonna last.
Well, and the thing is, like, I guess that's the only reason why I would care to know like a little bit of his story. Not that I guess none of the demons that we've shown have ever really like said, "Hey, the reason why I become so crazy looking like this is because of this attachment." Like the spider demon in the first season, like he never had any interactions with spiders, right? Like he didn't get bit by a spider. He didn't love spiders. So the fact that he ultimately had spider powers once he like consumed enough humans or killed enough humans, that was
Yeah.
probably random, right? So
Mm.
maybe it is random that Gyoko has like fish powers, but there should have been some validity that would have made him seem a little bit cooler. Because yes, at this point, yes, Carlos, I do agree with you. Like, yeah, I still love the beginning because it was funny, it was hilarious, there was still some good action there. Seeing Muichiro like really kind of really be confident and maybe almost not even know it. Because again, I still think like maybe this is maybe the first time he has that mark that
Yeah.
really kind of risen and that he's really discovering how good he is. But at the same time, yeah, Gyoko just completely flopped, man. No pun
Yeah.
intended. It's a fish, just like blap blap
Guys, so there was
I see
there
what you
was
did there.
something that I said in the last episode, and I kind of cut it off because I just felt like, oh, like maybe I shouldn't put this because it's not gonna be true. But now that I've had a week to sit with it, I sort of feel like this Muichiro that we got, it's not really Muichiro. I feel like it's his other brother, as I called them, Evil Tokito, Yushiro. No, man, like, hear me out. You're not gonna do a twin unless you have this sort of like secret plans to like all of a sudden do like a later on twist. And dude, I'm telling you, hear me out. Like, I feel like Yushiro survived, but he was so fucking like distressed about the idea that his nice younger sweet brother passed away that he kind of took on his personality as a way to kind of like a tribute to like his brother that passed away. So that's the theory that I'm going with. I know it sounds fucking nuts. I might have to delete this all over again, but when we get to like the final chapters of this Demon Slayer, and that's a reveal, like I just want you guys to like bow down to me, even though I read this shit, and be like, "Oh my god, Carlos, how did we doubt you?"
Hey, and kind of on record, I'll bet you $20. No, it's. I see why you say that, but I think they keep reassuring and reaffirming us that it's not the case. Like even in this flashback, again, it seemed a little confusing in the beginning when he's talking, but it was Yuichiro, the one telling like Muichiro, like, "Hey, like you did a good job," which again leads into the whole question: is Muichiro dying? But again, we'll talk about that a little bit. And it was making me think again. I'm like, damn, maybe Carlos is right, but no. I think the reason why they did the twin, and it kind of makes sense, is it's the opposite of what you said. It's supposed to like make you relate to why Muichiro is so negative and so cold in the beginning, right? So that it's not his true nature, right? He was the one that really believes in people and like helping others is important. But then because his brother did die traumatically, then he took on his persona, and so now he's negative Nancy and doesn't want to like do anything or help anybody,
Yeah.
So I think it is the opposite. But again, if you freaking are right,
No.
I will freaking applaud you and be like, you know what, twin stories suck.
Well, dude, I'm building all these like, I'm building all these different side stories with all these characters. Like I got another look at the master's wife in this episode, and I'm like, man, that's a good looking lady. But again, I can't stop thinking that like the idea that they're just like Targaryens, they're just like boning each other, and that's because they have the same hair.
No, but he's black hair.
The daughters just look like the mom. They don't look like the dad at all.
Because why the dad has like black hair, but I mean
Black
similar
hair, yeah.
similar skin tone, no? And even oh my god,
They all have the same skin tone.
dude. I'm telling you, these guys are even Targaryens. They're not all born with white hair. Some of them, some of them, not all of them.
No, yeah, they're all born with white hair.
No, don't talk to the guy that read the Dance of Dragons. They're not all born with white hair.
Except for Jon Snow.
I know the problem. Little do you know, Carlos is watching Demon Slayer in a black and white TV. Everyone looks the same. Everyone looks the same. He's like, "Yup, they're freaking Targaryens. Look the same
with the knobs."
Yeah, the little knobs, a little one on the van. He's in a minivan somewhere. Like, oh yeah, let me watch this episode.
Excuse me if I have respect for the films, and I like to watch them the way they were meant to be watched.
Yup, bougie.
Mad Max, my black and white. That's how I watch it every time, the black and white version. But
with Mel Gibson, Black Max.
No, the newest one with Tom Hardy.
Oh, okay. Well, both of them are good. I mean, let's not. I still like the old ones.
But no, I mean, again, you guys haven't seen enough of this family, but I'm telling you, man, there's like something weird going on with them.
I think that's what it is. Carlos just knows something we don't know. There's like some cutscene somewhere that we're gonna get, and it's gonna be like, "Hey, sister." I mean, what?
I still think that you're kind of reaching, but
I think Raul called it when he said sisters. That's his sister wife.
No, but back to Taquito. So
Taquito, you're making me hungry.
No, so like at the end of the fight, like his marks kind of disappear, and then so is he still poisoned or is he just exhausted or what's the deal with him?
I think probably the original poison's getting to him.
Well, that was a pretty funny scene. I know what you're talking about. Like at the very end of everything, he's like, "Okay, cool. I need to go save Tanjiro and everyone else." And then the Swordsmith's like, "You don't look so good. Like you're getting pale." He's like, I'm fine. And the next thing you know, he's frothing at the mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
oh no, he's dying on the froth.
It was so great. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, even before we stop with this, can I just say the one also line between the Gyoko and Muichiro like fight and kind of insults back and forth that I thought was hilarious was when freaking Gyoko did say that there was only 3 people that have ever seen that form, and freaking Muichiro is like, "Oh, that's a lot already."
That's a lot.
Oh, like wow, that's a lot.
I'm sorry, I still can't. This episode was just hilarious. I think these shows are great sometimes when they just make you laugh, and I think Demon Slayer does a good job at like there's some good comedic like components to it that it reminds you
Once
that
in a
it's not
while,
all
yeah.
about the
Yeah.
seriousness and the blood, and then it goes into blood again and
I,
decapitation.
so let me ask you this: when you compare this to episode season two and this new season, I mean, I know it has not ended, but
Yeah.
if you think about it in season two, I guess the complaint was that maybe the first seven episodes were kind of slow because you got the whole build up with Tengen, and then they're going to the district and they're trying to find where this upper moon's hiding. So there's a lot of build up to that, and it's not maybe to the last like two three episodes where you get a lot of crazy good action. With this season, it's like we've gotten good action already, but it's also kind of like they just keep dragging certain things or it just keeps going. Like, do you feel like what do you like most? Do you like it to be where currently we're getting a little bit of action but then a little bit like slowness and then more action, or do you like it where it's like the last season you kind of have a slow start and you just built up to like the most amazing four episodes ever? Like, what do you think? Or is this season gonna like surprise us and the last four episodes are gonna be like fucking amazing and beautiful and crazy all over the place?
Well, the sad part about that is that we already been so invested in this other fight with Upper Four, like Moon, and just everything going down. Like we already seen most of that fight, right? Like obviously, besides the Love Hashira joining in, how much more can there be? So I'm afraid it's not going to be that event. Like even this the name of this episode was so boring. It was literally what like the Miss Hashira Muichiro Tokito, right?
Yeah.
And the next one is about the Love Hashira. So then it's like you're gonna get another flashback.
Mitsuki, yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my
you're
god,
gonna get another
no,
flashback. Yeah.
no more, no more flashbacks.
And again, going back to like the intro of the season, like this season right now, they do have her with someone that looks like her but with black hair. So yes, I do believe we're gonna go back to another flashback, and I don't think we're gonna get the final freaking fight scenes until maybe the last two episodes. And I don't know, man, it's pissing me off, but I do like the mix of this one because
Yeah,
at least to be fair, there's been more action thrown in the beginning, right? We did start
yeah,
with some cool things, like it was pretty intriguing to see right away, like Gyoko, and before we knew he sucked, there was some exciting things with the giant koi and things that he was doing, and then even with the upper four, like just the fact that you were discovering like his different personalities. That was probably the best. It's been the best part so far. Is this that demon
but
alone
yeah,
has done so much, and even now that we're
yeah,
discovering more about like the hatred's powers that obviously we'll discuss in a little bit, like you really do like that demon a lot. But yeah, it's back and forth. I feel like it's dragging. I think right now we're
yeah.
going up, 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 and I think we're about to hit like and freaking for those of you guys that know Six Flags, the freaking Raging Bull, that little dip before you
Oh
actually go
yeah,
down.
yeah.
We're gonna do a flashback and then plummet down to our deaths
Yeah.
almost.
Well, like,
No,
yeah,
and I would say that just like this demon was kind of anticlimactic. I'm worried that the upper four is also going to be
I I
anticlimactic
doubt
with
it
the
because
same
so far
thing.
everything for him has been really good. Like the introduction, how he separates and new ones are created. I don't think there's ever been one moment with him where I'm like, oh my god, like what are they doing? They're wasting everyone's time. So like for me, he's like the most interesting the thing that's happening. And I mean, I don't know if we're ready to move on, but I just will say that I'm kind of glad that this whole Muichiro Tokito thing is done with. I really do like Muichiro and Tokito. Like I respect that kid. I think he has a lot of talent. I think we're gonna see a lot more from him in the future. As far as this season, I don't know what else he's gonna do. Like I feel like he has to deliver that sword to Tanjiro. So we might do get that intro, like in the intro of the show where it says like him
You're
throwing the
right.
sword to Tanjiro. I feel like that's like his final thing to play in this season. But he might be out, man. Like that might be it for him. And if that's it, like it's okay. I mean, what we got from him, it's good. I'm not too impressed. He didn't leave an impression on me like Tengen or Rengoku, but the Love Hashira, I think she's been doing a really good job at like from somebody that I said in the beginning, like, oh, I don't think I really like this character because I'm not too impressed with her. Like everything that she's done has really, really made me like her. And dude, like this scene, like just the way she came in, kind of like a Sailor Moon character, just
Oh
jumping up in the
yeah,
moon, so cool, awesome.
yeah.
Dude,
That's a great scene.
I loved the video that you put up on I forget if it was, I think it was Instagram with from old school with Will
Will
Ferrell doing
Ferrell,
the gymnastics,
yeah.
That
the gymnastics dance thing. Dude, it was hilarious. And then honestly, it sadly kind of did look like that, but in a cooler way, not so comedic.
No, if I
no,
was
exactly
if I
what it
was
is.
yeah, because if I was really talented, I could probably combine some of that with that, and then that would make it even funnier. But I just thought the scene itself is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that we move on. I mean, was there anything else that was really exciting part of that Gyoko fight? Nothing really, right?
Well,
His power.
you get the reunion with his mom and dad, and we kind of talked a little bit about that, but you
Yeah, a
get
little
that.
bit. Let's
Yeah.
just say there was nothing impressive either, right? Like we just saw him last episode in different forms, right? He had a little cool flashback when he's talking about the maggots and how he got saved by the master's wife.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only thing Gyoko's supreme power that he had was that he could turn everything into fish. I thought that was silly too, because that didn't do anything besides strip freaking
No.
Tokito just a little bit so you could see his abs. Like, dude, what? Okay, cool. Like you have fish that eat clothes. Like, good for you.
I hate that in anime, dude. Anytime they introduce a character where his ability is like, oh, if I touch you, like I have the most amazing, powerful ability, and if I touch you, like it's just gonna kill you. But anytime somebody like that is introduced, first of all, like they
They
never
never
touch
do.
anybody that's cool, and they immediately get taken out in like a very pathetic way. Like from Naruto, I think it's that guy that has the powers with the bugs. Like he also had
Oh
like an
goodness.
ability where he could touch and
Chino?
like not
The
Chino,
poison one.
the poison one. Yeah, but then he
He
didn't
was like
really.
all purple. Yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't do nothing. And then in Bleach, there was also the number one Arrancar, and he also like could touch you and kill you, but he didn't do shit, and he looked super cool. So it's just kind of like, again, if your character can touch and kill somebody, more than likely it's going to be very disappointing to you. Bro, don't look at
Yeah.
me like it's the freaking number one, the king of the what mundo.
I don't remember.
Bro,
I-
you
it
are
hasn't been that
frustrating
long.
sometimes.
Wow. This is
I
why I gotta
know.
watch Bleach,
He
man.
looks
I gotta.
he looks like a reaper. He looks like that. He's freaking the
Yeah.
reaper, and he's the number one king of Hueco Mundo. I'm gonna go to your house right now and freaking choke you with your new microphone.
Oh man, no, I mean, but yeah, like I think that's what I'm saying. That's disappointing, right? You have Gyoko being like, "Oh my god, I'm so amazing! Oh my god, my skills are like diamonds! Oh my god, like I have this like power that turns everything into fish!" Like, man, go work at a foot salon. Like, go give some like freaking pedicures. Like, the whole little fish therapy. But no, like I think I think at the end there was really nothing there. I think it was just the last thing that they wanted you to know is.
He was the number two
I
around
believe
car.
There you go.
All right, the
Dude,
number
he
two around
looks
car.
pretty cool. I mean, if you guys can't see this, Carlos is just showing an awesome picture of Bleach.
The number two around car, which
He
he has the
kind
power
of
to.
looked like Skeletor. Yeah, I remember.
There
He's
you
kinda
go.
like-
See that? It's,
He's kind of like the reaper. If he touches you, you die.
Yeah, I know.
Raul still doesn't. No.
I
Okay.
do remember him. Yeah, because I remember that the whole story with him too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
Because
see-
the big bad showed up and then kind of
Yeah.
took power away from him.
But to
You
that
don't-
point,
You know you got me frustrated when I just took an oxy like 45 minutes ago, and I'm like, all of a sudden you like built up all this anger on me.
it's like, let me show you. No, but I mean, I think also the infuriating part is just a disappointment in these dudes who like claim they're so good at something and then they suck. So, but again, Gyoko's a bad guy and a bad guy or a bad person at being a bad guy. Like, he just sucks. So anyways, if we can be done with him, I think the last thing I was like I took notes on was just the fact that they just wanted you to know that like Muichiro's kind of motto is, or at least what his master told him, is that his unshakable self is like the best self for him to be. And I think knowing that, like going forward, if he does make it into the fight still alive and not poisoned and not frothing and foaming at the mouth, then he's gonna be good. Right? He's gonna be able to do something. I thought it was funny they used that mouth because I was expecting that word. I mean, I was expecting foaming and they said frothing, and I'm like, dude, I'm thinking of a latte right now. Like we're here using Muichiro's drool and like foam to like make a nice little like latte.
Oh my God, Ramon, do you want
No,
to tell
you
people
find it-
about? Do you want to tell people about that word that you taught me earlier today during our text message
An
conversation?
enema, dude,
An
an enema. We don't need to talk about enemas right now. And no, let's not even talk about how we got to the topic of enemas. But Carlos apparently but Carlos' special drink at Starbucks has to do with enemas. Just kidding.
I was at Dunkin' Donuts, first of all.
Oh wait,
Which
there you go. Well,
yeah.
that makes more sense.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Quality of coffee,
Anyway.
guys. Quality of coffee, guys. But anyways, clearly we're ready to move on to the next part. So then, okay, awesome. So Carlos and everybody else, they're wooden dragons. Were you happy to hear that? I finally was happy for them to confirm. that
Oh, they
was wooden
said it?
dragons. Yeah, they said it.
Yeah.
Okay,
They said
great.
because
Okay,
that's how it
also,
started. It started with
dude, we
like, you
were like
know,
flip flopping on it.
and even me who said like wooden dragons in the beginning, ultimately like, no, you know what, they do look like stone dragons, but no. So then Tanjiro in the very beginning of this like his part of the scene, it was that he was running away from one of the dragons, and he did say, oh my god, his power is like wooden dragons are like trying to attack me, and then it just continues going. But we finally got to find out what the drums do. What's up, Raul? You raise your hand.
So
What's up,
so yeah,
Mr.
so
Buendia?
I have a weird question that I've noticed kind of as a continuous thing in anime in general. Like, uh, anyone that has any type of wood powers is like super powerful, and for some reason wood is a super powerful element type thing to
Yeah.
have. Like, what's the obsession? Is it like a Japanese thing? That, or is it an anime thing, or like
I
because
think,
like if you think
yeah.
in pretty much in Black Clover, in N- Naruto, in here, and like pretty much anything
Yeah,
that if somebody has wood powers is
yeah.
super powerful.
Do
My
you want
Hero
me to be
Academia has
dirt?
also the one guy that has the wood powers, and he's really cool looking.
Where?
Do you
My
want me to
Hero
be dirty
Academia.
with it?
Oh
Which
yeah,
guy? I
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
met that guy yet, but
No, you met him. You
yeah,
met him.
yeah,
He was
yeah,
like in
yeah.
the
You
first
met him.
episode.
Yeah,
First
in the first
episode.
oh,
episode, when Mount Lady took his
His win.
his arrest.
She
Yeah.
came and like kicked him out of the railroad tracks or whatever.
okay,
Yeah.
now I know what you're talking about. I mean, Raul, in answer to your question, do you want me to be dirty about it, or do you want me to be a little bit more serious about it? Because no, but not necessarily like being dirty, but the reason why they're more obsessed with wood, right? No, I think on the funnier side, perhaps, and this I say this because I remember in grad school I did take some Japanese woodblock printing art classes, right? And we did study a lot of woodblock prints and a lot of what these artists did, right? So you like every other art, you have your genre of, you have like your serious stuff, your violent stuff, you get some scary stuff. Like there was a lot of prints and a lot of work that they did with demons, right? Obviously, we're getting a whole lot of this demon exposure here, but in typical fashion, I think the Japanese culture they're not super afraid of being sexual to some degree, and I think maybe part of it does have to do with that. With wood does come a little bit more from like the organic, like natural form, and how that's powerful to just be organic, right? So that's a joke, but thank you for following me with
No,
that.
no,
What?
I was
Interesting.
about to call your ass out of that rumble, and that is like you're fucking reaching.
No. But I think in seriousness, it is because like wood is malleable, right? Because when we were talking about the stone dragon, when we were talking about the stone dragons, I couldn't believe that it would be stone dragons, right? We've seen like freaking earthbending, but earthbenders and the last airbender was just like freaking pushing boulders and throwing boulders, right? It wasn't reshaping things.
Boulder.
A boulder. It wasn't reshaping like freaking stone into like beautiful sculpture. So in my head, I'm still like, man, stone in itself is not a malleable material. It's not a material that you can flex and turn into things. But if you think of like freaking bonsai, right? With bonsai, like you can control and you can kind of force the tree to go a certain way, and I think it has more to do with that. It has to do with the malleability of the tree, or sorry, of the wood, and then ultimately it ends up being really strong, right? Think
Yeah.
about like a tree that's grown around an object, and then ultimately after hundreds of years or years later, like it really like encapsulates, it really in jails like or imprisons that item, like that
Yeah.
the freaking
Hmm.
object. So I think it does really truly have to do with that. Sorry that
Well,
you had to follow me through the
no.
whole yeah.
Why didn't fall for your first explanation? And I'm glad that one of us from us three of us went to college, because you definitely that was really cool what you brought to the table, Ramon. Like, I'm glad we have you here for that kind of
but but
knowledge.
in but in all seriousness, oh my god, there's some perverted stuff in Japanese woodblock
Oh
printing,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah, I know, and I understand where your political science degree came from, with that kind of knowledge.
Man, you got to learn culture. You got to learn what really excites people. And again, what are we talking about? Anime? Where are we kidding, man? There's some
Yeah.
perviness somewhere in there. Just
There's a
gotta
lot
learn
of
about it.
perverness all over
A
the
lot of
place. It's
perviness.
anime.
Well, and then the love Hashira walks in.
Yeah.
Dude,
Ta-da.
well, I mean, we always give praise to Tanjiro for being so smart and able to figure things out, and he's trying to, man. He's trying to figure out how this Hydra works. Like, what's its like how far can it reach? How tall is it? Like, what are its weaknesses? And sadly, man, it's just kind of like he underestimated the power of it, because he started doing some of these like abilities. The first thing that happens, I believe, is he gets what, like, is it shocked, or What hurts him?
The sound.
The
Yeah, the sound
sound.
there.
Dude, let me ask you something real quick. Can you regenerate your eardrum once it's been like like bursted like he like his was? Like it's my
I
understanding
think
that
you
Well,
once
can.
you
not immediately. If your eardrum like bursts, like you
yeah.
either need surgery or it's gonna take like months or like weeks at
Yeah.
least for it to
I
recover.
was like personally like, dude, are you okay? Because I feel like you're not gonna be able to hear going forward. And I don't know if
Dude,
like
and
going
his balance is gonna be all jacked up.
yeah, so like that really bothered me. And then when he got the other hit with the I guess the wind
The
one
one. Yeah.
and it crushed his leg, I'm like, holy shit, like
Yeah, I
oh
know.
my god, like so like I don't know, man. Like now I'm like there's like in this show there's nobody that can really heal you up instantly. Like nobody can come in and give you a kiss and then all of a sudden you're gonna be like healed up. So I don't know
No,
how he's
no,
gonna
no, no,
recover
no,
from
no
this.
Sakura, no,
No
no,
Sakura for you to bite or the other girl that you would bite on her, like nothing like
or
that.
or the Hime either.
Like if the love Hashira comes in and it's like, let me do my little healing sword attack, I'm gonna be like, okay, this is bullshit.
I don't know
Or,
about that,
or
man.
she could always do Olympian
Right?
with the
I don't know.
Oh,
I
shield.
that
mean, it's nothing a freaking like hot spring can fix, right? So I'm sure maybe
Yeah.
Tanjiro
Oh
after this would
yeah.
just go lay in a hot spring and kind of recover, be nice and strong. But no, you're right. I mean, but we did discover that that's what the drums are for, right? Like each one, I guess, does the powers of like four of the demons, and maybe the
yeah.
fifth one's just like an ultimate control, like reset button, like I don't know. It was cool, man. It's still really cool seeing like that wooden Hydro in action because again with all the like the flexing and things you got going on and then Nezuko and Genya are in there too and I think there was that one scene where like Genya shoots like one of the dragons like that was really cool like just
And
have
he
the whole
heals like right away too.
Yeah.
yeah I don't know
Dude,
it'd be
and then
scary
like
to go against those dudes man.
well that was cool how Genya was able to actually fight off the dragon and like burst the
Oh bust
jaw. Like I'm like, oh dude, it's so cool, Genya. Keep it up, man. Keep it up.
And
for
then he
what
got all like
yeah
tied
like
up.
for what yeah
Yeah, I
And
mean,
start
we
being
we never saw
constricted
how that
again.
happened, so it could have been like really cool.
yeah
No, yeah, and then Tanjiro actually gets eaten. And then if it wasn't for the
Episode
love
over.
Hashira, like yeah, and if it wasn't for the love Hashira, he would have been like crushed in the bowels of the snake.
And how does he get it in? Because like Carlos, you had a point that Tanjiro's over here, like he knows exactly the distance that they can travel, and then the
Oh
freaking
yeah.
wooden dragon does a whole alien thing, like
Alien.
mouth after mouth after mouth after mouth, and grabs them. Like that surprised me. That I was not expecting that. I definitely expected something a little different, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This show's got me wild. Like you said, that was a good highlight to the.
Yeah. Because like you could tell the upper four was so proud of himself when he got him. Like his eyes, all of a sudden there was like a spark to them. I'm like, you asshole, you cocky son of a bitch.
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah.
honestly, this demon seems so much stronger than the five. That one day I might remember his name, but like he seems so much stronger. Like even when he was like split apart, but then
Yeah.
especially now his hatred, because he still has like all the powers of all of them with the lightning or the fan crushy thingy or the sound or I don't know what the other one's gonna be, but
So are we calling it? Is it gonna be one of those where the love Hashira comes in and she pulls the freaking Muichiro on him and just goes,
I hope
I
we're
not.
don't know,
done.
man.
I hope
I
it's
don't think
more of
so,
a
right?
battle.
Because this has been the
No.
better. This has been the better battle so far, and that's where like earlier when we were mentioning this, like I feel like this battle has not been anticlimactic. This battle has been good. The only anticlimactic part is throwing in the whole freaking Gyoko fight in the middle of it, interrupting us so rudely. But no, I I think that this fight has been everything we wanted to see. Right? He has like multiple demon forms. They're all really good at fighting. They all have crazy abilities. Like I'm even still mesmerized by the freaking joy. Now he was able to split up into like even the leg of the bird type. Like at the end, he was just like one little bird leg, and then he had a freaking
With the
head, and
head,
he
yeah.
still shot the freaking sonic boom at him. And I don't know. I think this demon has really done a lot, and I think so far I think it's just based on his forms and those abilities. Like it's pretty good, man. Like it's like as opposed to like Gyoko, this guy definitely deserves his
No.
like rank.
Dude,
No, yeah,
if all of a sudden he can summon a sword, like I really like swords, so I'm really wanting to like have a sword. So I'm manifesting a sword for the next episode.
no, dude, and what I think is ultimately going to happen is that the love Hashira is going to like be able to contend against it, but like obviously with the help of the other ones and distractions of the other ones and all that stuff. But then ultimately, at some point, um, the sword is gonna end up getting to Tanjiro, and Tanjiro's gonna need to like cut off Fear's head, because if you notice, like that's the only one that wasn't fused in,
Yeah.
and he was put in that like the wooden cocoon by hatred.
No,
So
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I
But
wonder if it,
I'm pretty sure his head's still gonna need to be cut off.
I wonder if it's like a pain situation here where like the fear demon has to be within a certain range, because then if the fear demon doesn't even have to be there, like why even have him in the battle? Like let him be back in Musan's castle, and then he can send this demon to like this other part of
Mhm.
himself to like defeat Tanjiro and everyone. But I do feel like there has to be some kind of like restraint, right? Like there has to be like where he has to be within 100 feet in order to be able to control him. I don't know, just kind of like having a reason
yeah.
to explain why he would have to be in that battle.
I think just logistically, they're not anywhere near Musan because otherwise he would be there. Like he would have sent maybe another demon or two. Like he would have, there would have been some help already there for them. So it seems like they're isolated and far enough. And again, I think even just the fact that they had identified where the Swordsmith village was still kind of like not 100% confirmed. Like they were the
Yeah.
demons going to confirm that it was there, because when Gyoko got there, he's like, "Oh my god, yes, we were right. Like like we were right about this location." And so I think at that point it's like you are where you're at, right?
The,
And clearly they don't trust the little demon running around because someone's gonna go look for him. Like
it's funny when Gyoko got his head slashed. He's like, "Oh man, like, am I upside down? Like, I gotta kill this kid quick and go report to Musa." Like, dude, you're in denial. You're like, your fucking head got cut off, dude.
and it was beautiful because you were seeing like Tokito like upside down and he's like falling the other way, and he's just like he still had, like you said, he had no clue that he had gotten decapitated for real.
Oh my god.
Man, and then wait, another question that people keep asking me, and I'll reflect or kind of relay this to you guys. Do you guys think we're gonna get Genya ever like story about why he's part demon or why he has those demon powers? Because that's annoying as
I
hell
don't
too.
know.
Like
I don't know, guys. I feel like in a world where TikTok or anything can spoil things for you, I feel like if we don't get an answer, like I'll just sit you guys on the
go
side
look it
once
up.
we no, I'll sit you guys on the side and I'll tell you what's going on, because
I
it's a
don't
little
want to
bit
know.
unfair to have this expectation that you're not gonna accidentally find out within. It could be like 2 years for the next season to come back. So it's just like this whole like thing that people aren't gonna look for an explanation, and they're not gonna find out within the next 2 years. It's like, oh, come on, guys! Like you guys are being a little bit ridiculous with your fans.
That would be the disappointing part, absolutely, because we already got so much of Genya this season, right? And then especially the fact that he was left like Swiss cheese, and then in the next episode he was like back to normal, like nothing. Like, dude, like the show didn't even like cover his recovery. They didn't even like freaking show it again. That's a little glimpse of like, hey, you just got freaking blown to little holes like everywhere. And
Yeah,
so it's like, yeah, it would be disappointing if we end this season and this arc and we have no clue why he can do what he can do, right? Because it's
yeah,
awesome. No one else that we know besides Desico, but like we know her story. Like, what's his deal? And then our suspicion about like the mom and the fact that I still think that maybe perhaps he is the way he is because of his mother, but we don't know that yet either. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, because we got what like 2 seasons worth of Inosuke and Scaredy Cat Boy, and then we've had like just a couple like episodes of him. So I think he deserves a little bit more say in the story, or a little. I guess a little bit more story in the show.
yeah. And if
Yeah.
you stayed till the end of the episode, then you saw my boys right there, Inosuke and Zenitsu. Like,
Oh.
boy, like bring them back. Like they have a point. They're like, where are we? Come back. Not totally at all point. So.
Dude, you know what was another disappointing thing about this episode for me? The introduction, like the first 5 seconds of the episode before the theme song came on. Like I'm like, that had to be the worst. Like why even have that? Like I thought it was so freaking pointless. It was just like dumb having like an exchange for like 5-10 seconds, and then it's like, okay, theme song. I'm like, okay, that was totally like not even worth it. Like again, man, just some stuff like that, just having that introduction be the intro, like that even kind of like already made me like start the episode like on a wrong note.
Yeah, I get you. Like I said, I don't disagree. I mean, I guess I disagree that it was a bad episode, but I don't necessarily disagree with everything of the reasons why you don't like it. I mean,
No.
again, silly. It's very funny in the beginning, but I think we're talking about a
Well,
comedy when it should be more
yeah.
like badass, like let me
Well,
kill
no, again,
you.
I didn't like the Gyoko
Yeah,
Muichiro stuff, the love Hashira Mitsuki, that part,
it's
like that was
great.
awesome, super great. Yeah, hell yeah.
I
No.
don't know.
Well, I mean, we
Yeah,
did our
I
due
was a fan.
diligence. If you guys are still listening to this episode, I mean, I'm very thankful that you're here. And what I want to say is that if you're like me and you believe that Yuichiro was the one to survive, and then you believe that there's a Targaryen situation happening, and then you believe that the original Flame Hashira slept with Tanjiro's ancestors' mom while the dad was away collecting coal. Like, feel free to tell me that, man. Be on my side. Don't go with these guys. These guys are fools.
Wait, what other things? Oh, that the Hashira's master is it's the brother of his wife. Like what else? What else? All Carlos
Uh,
crazy theories right here.
yeah, no, that's what I'm here, man. I'm like going on Reddit and writing all this stuff.
It's
Yeah.
all
Hey,
Mephisto. No, I'm kidding.
well, now we have a Discord. So if any of you guys are listening to us and you want to join our Discord group, like go in there and tell Carlos that he's wrong. I'm
Oh,
just
dude,
kidding.
seriously, dude. I think the Discord's gonna be like the best thing we have going on. Like, I mean, we're everywhere. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. But I think the Discord, if you really join it, I think you're gonna see it's a lot of fun because it's almost like you can text us and we'll respond. Like Ramon's up to 4 in the morning. Raul never sleeps, and then me, I'm around. I'm around when I don't take oxy.
Surprised you're still awake right now, man. How are you
Dude,
still
it's
alive?
it's it's hitting me. It's hitting me.
It's Raul infuriating you with all those comments.
Oh my god, it's Bleach, man. Bleach always gets me so riled up. Like I don't know why. But no,
It,
this has been great, man. I'll talk to you guys soon, and I can't wait to do our discussion about the bear because I've already finished watching my second rewatch.
Yeah, well, I'll be right
I
there
finished
with
it
you
too.
soon.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'll talk to you guys. Bye.
Peace.
Have a good night.
Peace.